Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. I'm the owner of TheCandleNurse Handcrafted Scented Wax. I hope you guys are doing well today. We are doing another rebranding vlog. This is number 2. We're following up on number 1, candle making. We are evolving the TheCandleNurse Handcrafted Scented Wax into Cellar Ash Fragrance Co. That launch will be taking place in July of 26. So we are on a journey of rebranding, not just wax melts, but into expanding our home fragrance line offerings with candles kind of being spearheading the situation. It's been kind of like a really fun time right now because we are coming up on a pre-order for the Candle Nurse. It's our third to the last pre-order as the Candle Nurse and the way that we offer things through the Candle Nurse. So that's coming up here shortly. It's going to be this coming up week. So I wanted to touch base about that, but also follow up on how candle making is going so far, where we left off and where we're going to go today. But I wanted to give you guys some, just talk a little bit about what's going on. So I want to thank everybody for supporting our last YouTube video. We did a let's talk about the scents of our upcoming pre-order. It's going to be a storybook season pre-order volume 1 through 3. And this pre-order will be taking place Thursday, October 2nd at 4 p.m. Pacific time. It'll end on Sunday, October 5th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to know any more information, let me know down below. Please refer back to the other video too. I did list all the fragrances that are going to be available with pricing and so forth. We're really excited to have this pre-order. We're excited for the holiday seasons just like fastly approaching. Where we left off, where I made these candles, and I made them in the 4-ounce jelly jars. I didn't have a lot of success with burning them. The 415 from Golden Brands did really well, and the 454 from Golden Brands did really well for me. I was pretty impressed. The rest of them, I think, at first I said I was going to cut them out, but the more and more research I've done over the last few weeks, it's been, I think I just overwicked really bad with CDN wicks because they were smoking like crazy, just smoking, and that's just like a no-go for me. So I have some footage from right after I tested them, so I will put that here. I'll see you guys after that footage. Good morning, friends. I hope you're doing well. So I am shooting some footage here that I am going to add to a vlog. This is the 2-week first test burn of the container waxes that we created while we are rebranding from the Candle Nurse to Cellar Ash Fragrance Co. We are looking to find our wax blend or our wax that we want to use. We already have our containers, and so we honed in, I believe, 6 waxes that we were trialing for our first rebrand video. And I will tell you guys, just like with anything with testing, it didn't go great. I went by a few things. I have been testing the candles, or have been making and testing for like 2 months now. So we've kind of honed into the ones that we really liked. There is one that I am considering testing that is a soy wax blend, meaning that there is soy and paraffin. It has a really great burn and hot throw. We were looking at more natural options, but at the end of the day, we also want a quality candle that's going to perform in people's homes that have a clean burn. And that's really what's most important. And, we can get into the paraffin talk. The ultra refined food grade paraffin that's used in candles today is non-toxic. And so some of the waxes we have here have that in it. I don't know if it's causing an issue with the burns, but anyway, we started off here with the NS55. This is from Natural State Fragrance. And this has been the most promising wax. It has a phenomenal cold throw and hot throw. I have just been having burn issues. I know that the manufacturer recommends a wood wick. We're not going to go with wood wick. We are going with a cotton wick. I decided to follow the CDN. And I noticed that throughout all of the candles that I put CDN in, we had issues with during their first burn. So I don't know if it's a wick issue, an over wicking issue, or if it's just the oil with the wick and the wax combined. Now with this one, why I'm a little bit disappointed is we are, I think, going to write this wax off as not being one that we're going to use. We tested 9% fragrance oil. We used the rose cream and berries from Dupe and Santal Royale for Home from Scent Memory. Phenomenal, like 4.5 out of 5 to 5 out of 5 fragrance on cold throw. And when I went to light them up yesterday at their 2-week mark, well, within an hour and a half started throwing black smoke. Now, the reset of these is really beautiful. We did not accomplish a full melt pool because this is a coconut soy with less than 5% paraffin in it, and it's very smooth. The texture is very nice, and with the coconut being in there, a lot of times with natural wax you have a hard time pulling out the first burn. It's okay to have some hang up. We didn't quite make it past an hour and a half. The wicks, although the wax hasn't changed color, the wicks started throwing a lot of black smoke, so I immediately extinguished. It was all 4 of them. Now we do have CDN 8 and CDN 10. There's a chance that these are extremely overwicked, and maybe that was an issue. However, I have tested prior to these in different vessels, and I am noticing the same thing. I'm getting a sooty wax with the CDN, so it might be worth trying with a different wick. But at this phase of the game for us, after 2 months, our goal is to launch our new fragrance company by July of 26. We've got to kind of hone in, and at some point you just have to kind of go, okay. Now this was one of the more expensive. It was number 2 for expensive wax, but yeah, a great cold throw, great hot throw, but the black smoke is a no go for me. So we are going to X-nay the Natural States NS55 wax from our candle option. Maybe we'll revisit it down the road if we're gonna do maybe a limited edition luxury offer or something. I'll come back to it, but at this point in the game I don't think it's going to be our number 1. The other factor behind that was it's only offered through Natural State, and I'm not saying that they're not going to be around to supply this, but in the event that they had a shortage, it would really leave us in the dust because this is a proprietary blend for them, so I don't know where we would be able to source it. So when looking at what we want to offer all the time in our wax, we want to be able to get wax that we can source all of the time. One of the things that Natural State is going to have for me in the future is one thing that Natural State will maintain with me is that I will be continuing to purchase their fragrance oils. So they are premium and smell good and perform well, so we will still keep them within our arsenal. We just won't with the wax. Moving on to Golden Brand's 454. I actually was able to get 2 successful 4-hour burns out of this wax. Now, I think wick placement has something to do with the way that this one is burning. Now, this is Golden Brand's 454. It is a soy coconut. It is just soy and coconut with no other additives, and it is a proprietary blend, and they are not going to disclose what the percentage of soy to coconut is, but they do say that it's predominantly soy. And I can tell because the way that it reset is like a soy. So you have some craters here and a little bit of the pockiness happening with this top of it, which is going to happen with soy wax. So I was very happy with this. I use CD wicks, and I noticed that in the 2 wax blends that I use CD wicks, I had great performance from them with no black smoke coming from it. So I do think that whatever wax we do decide to go with, that it needs to be able to work with CD. I think it was a stable performance. This is not the first time I'm using CD, but it's the first time I'm using CD in 454. It's a hot enough wick that was able to perform. So this is the rose cream and berries, and I was able to I love the reset on this, but I was able to get 2 4-hour burns successfully. And I'm thinking out of this jar, we would probably have 4, 8, this could get us 12 to 16 hours worth of fragrance. The cold throw is maintaining, so even though it's burned 2 times, there's no alteration in the smell of the wax right now. It's still a solid 4 to 4.5 out of 5, and I got the same performance when I was burning. This is a top contender for me. This is a Golden Brand's wax that is easily accessible from several vendors to be able to purchase from. I don't think that we would have issues with it going out of stock, but with the rose cream and berries, it burned beautifully. I do think that I was more successful at centering the wicks when I placed it here. So these had a great burn. Again, there's a little bit of hang up and some smudginess on the side of the jar. That's going to happen with natural wax. It's not something as a candle burner owner myself, somebody who has collected candles and burned candles for years, that's not something that bothers me. Some people will say, oh, the jar is not clean, but I honestly, this is a great performance. And you're going to have some leftover remnants on the side of the jar when it comes to your natural waxes. Again, because it's more soy, you're going to have a little bit of frosting. You're going to have a little bit of the craters happening, but all in all, we got a really great performance out of this, and this is very much a top contender for us. So this will be moving forward to our next stage of testing. I am going to be testing in 9-ounce amber jars. They are going to probably be, I'm wondering if I should do half candles or if I should do a full candle testing. I think at this point, maybe I should, because I've been happy with the performance of this wax with the wick and the fragrance oil. Oh, you guys, it was throwing so well in my bedroom. I'm super pleased with this one. I think that I would do full candles of this one. I'm probably only going to do 2 full candles of a different fragrance oil from Hive and Honey. And we'll test it. It's jasmine and currant, and that's one of my favorite fragrances. And I will be testing that in a 9-ounce amber glass jar with a lid. And I think we'll be pleasantly surprised with that. I have done some other testing with the 454 in larger, like a 12-ounce amber jar. I've done it in a 9-ounce half candles and had great performance with the CD wicks. I did use CDN on them too, and one thing I will say is even if the flame of the CDN, those wicks have a tendency to get a little bit smaller. They don't burn as hot as a CD. And I will tell you that I did not get sooting or black smoke or like a hindrance of performance, other than it took a lot longer for it to pull out with this wax, whereas NS55 immediately started sooting. Like immediately we started seeing black in the wax, and I started seeing black smoke coming from the wicks. So again, this one, Golden Brands 454, super happy. I think I will be moving forward with this one. I do. Going to the next stage. All right, next up we have the Titan 51104. Now, this one was one that I wanted to test on its own, and then I tested it in a blend with Cocoa 83. I think we are going to eliminate these guys 100%. This one, the performance, I had to put it out at the 1.5-hour mark. It started throwing black smoke. Didn't discolor the wax. Has a great reset, but the cold throw is kind of light. I would say the cold throw is like a 3.5 out of 5. And I couldn't really tell you what the hot throw was because I was testing in a large room, but it seems lighter now than it did initially, like when I was smelling at the 1-week mark. The rose cream and berries is essentially like a 1.5 to 2 out of 5 on the cold. So it's like basically disappeared. So we're going to exnay this wax. It was a beautiful wax. It has a higher melting point, but cuts like butter, and it resets really beautifully, but I'm not getting, the wicks were smoking. And I did do CDN 6, which a CDN 6 should perform in the jelly jar. It wasn't burning too hot. The flame wasn't too high. I mean, I didn't even have a pool yet at an 1.5 hours, which is totally normal. Like the burn was doing what it was supposed to do, but the wicks were throwing the smoke, which that is an absolute fail for me. And then again, like I said, just over the 2 weeks, instead of getting stronger, the scent disappeared. So 51104 wax is a no-go for us on our candle journey. The 4th wax that we did was the blend, the Cocoa 83 with the 51104. Same issue I had with the 51104 by itself. You guys, this thing just started sooting. And I had to put it out. This is the one that had, like, when I poured it and it had a cold throw, there is like a waxy scent that comes out along with the fragrance. I will say that I'm surprised because initially when I poured this Cocoa 83 and 51104 was super light. And as it's cured, it has gotten stronger than just the 51104 by itself. So I would give this like a 3 out of 5 for cold throw. Couldn't really test hot throw because we were testing in an open space. The burn, like I said, it looks like it's nice. Even with that off-centered wick, it did almost pull out all the way. Could it have been overwicked? Probably, but because of the cold throw and the performance so far, I just think we're going to exnay it. We're not going to use this for Cellar and Ash. Soy 10. This is my second go at Soy 10, and I have been really happy so far with the performance of Soy 10 in candles that I had made randomly after I was extremely disappointed because the scents were disappearing burning in soy 10 and it was smelling like wax. And then I used certain oils that did come through and it smelled amazing. And I had a clean burn all the way down, no sooting, even if the flames got a little bit puny. Beautiful performance. So I wanted to retest. However, again, CDN 6, CDN 8, all 4 were blowing smoke. I know that this candle can perform, and I know that the manufacturer is recommending CDN from Hive and Honey. The wax that I did before, I was using CD. So I am going to advance this into the next stage and make 2 candles using CD wicks and seeing how the performance, because this I would consider like maybe trying to re-wick and test again, but I do know that soy 10 can perform, and this Santal, there's a beautiful 3.5 to 3.75 out of 5 cold with Santal Royale, and the Rose Cream and Berries is a great, I would say like almost 4 out of 5 cold throw. I do know that I can smell this when it's burning, but again, the CDN wick was throwing smoke. So I don't know if it's wick, if it's considered over wick. I used a higher CD, which was hotter before. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just the oil, if it's just the whole thing combination. If you get drafts, which, you know, we're in Arizona and we have air conditioning, you want to try to do a draftless room when you're testing. And this room was doing okay, but anytime we walked by and it got a little bit, you would see the black smoke. So this one wasn't like smoking on its own necessarily, only when it would get a little bit of a draft, which does interfere with the ability to have candle performance. But I did it with the CD wicks that were in 454 and 415 and got 0 blowing black smoke. So I do think that we are going to predominantly test now with CD wick in the waxes we decide to go forward with. So Golden Brands 454 we'll go forward with. Soy 10 we're gonna trial in the amber glass jars. It's just a hunch. I want to do it for like a close to 100% soy. And because of how easy it is to work with it, I would like to try it and advance it into the next stage and see how it performs. So we are not going to write this one off just yet. And then the last one that we test was the 415, which is 100% soy. And I did CD wicks and I loved the performance on these. And I accidentally left these going. So they went for like 5 hours on their first burn. So, the Santal Royale for Home CD10, I mean, we got great burns. It reset with like huge craters, but that's something we could work on down the road if we wanted to. I would say this is a little bit lighter on cold throw, but that is to be expected with 100% soy. I would say it gave me like a 3 out of 5, but it's consistent. There's not a sooty scent, there's not a soy scent going on with it, but I can definitely tell you that the Santal reset is a lot harsher than the Rose Cream and Berries. The Rose Cream and Berries, both of them gave us a really great performance. So this mixture together with this wick did really, really well. Maybe a little overwicked. Could go down to like a CD8, 6, CD8 and test, and probably think that this burned down a little too fast on a first time, but gave us a beautiful performance. The scent was great, and you could smell it because we had put out all the other candles and let this one go over here, and they were throwing. So the 415 gave us a really good performance. That one reset really well. So we are going to advance 415 into the next stage. So that is my update as far as our first burns. We were able to eliminate some wax. I think we're going to go forward with 3. Now, I am also considering testing Joy Wax on its own. It's a softer wax. I worry about sweating or condensation during hot months, but I guess we could look at that because it has a lower melting point. So I guess we could look at that down the road if that's a worry. But I'm burning Joy Wax right now from a candle I just made for myself, and it is burning so nice. So, and I can smell it in my open concept. So it is a contender. Again, that one's about 52% soy, 48% food grade refined paraffin. So, you know, it's US sourced, it's cruelty free. So I'm like willing to kind of give it a shot, but it is expensive. It is probably going to be more expensive or at the same as soy 10. That's the only downfall with soy 10 is it is the most expensive wax for me out there as far as when we're combining all the cost of goods for it. So your shipping and tax and stuff, it is the most expensive. 415, 454 are Golden Brands, so they're really easy to get your hands on. So I haven't like totally honed in on a wax. Billy and I kind of have an idea of which one we think we want to go with, but we're going to take it into the next stage of testing, which I will bring you guys along for and vlog that where I would probably add this footage to that. So, okay, thanks for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great day. So, I had pretty strong feelings after that was done, but after doing some research, I've realized I think I've overwicked. We're gonna continue on with testing. In today's video, I'm gonna be pouring 7-ounce amber mason jars of each wax again, minus the Cocoa 83. I've discontinued the use of that. I don't think that one's gonna work for us. I'm gonna do 2 different wick sizes. I've kind of honed in per manufacturer's instructions on based off of the diameter of the vessel, because this is going to be the type of size of offering that we will have for Cellar and Ash. It's not the only size we're offering, but because this is an offering, I want to make sure we're going by the diameter, by the manufacturer instructions for each wax to try to, they give us like suggestions, but it doesn't mean it's always going to work. So you have to test separately. But I think based off of what happened with the jelly jars, that I have honed in on a couple different wick sizes. We're going to go to CD only this time and try that. We're going to test Soy 10 again. We're going to do 2 CD wicks for that one. We're going to try 51104 again, 415, 454, NS55. We are going to see if that helps. I really wanted NS55 to work. It has an amazing cold throw, an amazing hot throw. I was just having sooting issues, being underwicked, and smoking issues, being overwicked, and I don't know how that's going to scale when I need to start. I mean, this is like a dream, but if I have to start making a lot of candles, like, can't worry about just a small little thing causing it to soot. So 415 has been pretty forgiving with like overburning, and you really can't underburn it. You really want to try to get a full pool. It's just not like the appearance of the 415 isn't the greatest, but it is 100% soy, and it had a great cold throw and hot throw that I was really happy with, and it tested, the little 4-ounce jelly jar tested really well in my bedroom. So I am interested in it. It's just really hard to work with. That's the one that you have to wait for the temperature to drop significantly, like to 95 degrees Fahrenheit before you pour it. So because of that, I am also going to test a blend that I'm going to come up with, incorporating a little bit of Soy 10 into the 415 and a little bit of Soy 10 into the 454. And it's going to be separate candles that I'm going to test with that and see if it allows it to get a little bit smoother tops or allows me to pour it a little bit hotter. If not, you just have to accommodate the wax and go and be patient with it to get the performance that I'm looking for, right? That's that. Pre-orders coming up. So we were working on a Let's Talk About the Scents, about making that and marketing for that. Something that was really cool is I have a customer that has been following us for a long time, and she always is supporting us, giving us feedback. She saw that I wasn't going to do the poll where they could vote back fragrances, so she reached out to me and was like, I really wanted to try these fragrances this year. It makes me sad, blah, blah. I just thought, you know what? Well, what are you looking for? And so she told me what fragrances, and I actually had the stuff on site for it. So I did a made to order for her. It was really easy and I loved it. So I wanted to bring that up, because thank you so much. That customer knows who they are. I appreciate them so much and their support. And it was really exciting to be able to make some of the fragrances from last year for them. She made it an easy process. She picked the 18 count shape bags, and that is easy for me to pour. Trying to like make made to order in small clams, it's like you have to make 4 clams to like make the batch, because it's too hard to like pour that small of a batch to make like 1 clam. But it was really fun to do that. And so that's something we can definitely think about, and I wanted to talk about, because if anybody else was interested, just reach out to me. We can try to come up with a plan. If it's customs, it's stuff that I've never made before, or I have to acquire oil. I mean, that's all stuff that has to go into the pricing of it. But yeah, it was very easy. So really exciting. I was able to do that, and great customer. And then for the pre-order, I did add a few fragrances to the upcoming pre-order. I've added Fahrenheit, Velour, and Liquid Black. Fahrenheit and Velour are new fragrances. Fahrenheit and Velour are new fragrances, and Liquid Black is one that I released in July that is super popular, and people were like, please just bring that one back. So I did add that to this pre-order. And then I did a collaboration with Stephanie Melton. She is a fellow YouTuber and friend of mine, and her and I she's become like such a great friend to me over the last year and a half or so. And I'm just really excited because we've been wanting to make something together, and she is somebody that I value, that I respect, that gives great feedback, that she has a great community that follows her. And so she reached out to me and we collaborated to make a fragrance, and it's a fairy tale inspired fragrance that is inspired by Cinderella. And she gave me the fragrance notes, the ideas, the inspiration behind it, and then she put her trust into me to create this blend for her, and I know that it is spectacular, and I'm really excited. So her fragrance is called Cinders and Silk. Thank you so much, Steph, for trusting me to create this blend for you, and I'm really excited to get this out there for this pre-order. So come support Steph on this fragrance, Cinders and Silk. So yeah, that's about it, I think, for the pre-order. Yeah, so I think the next thing we'll do is we'll go into the wax room. I've already prepped vessels. This time I've labeled them. Basically, we're just gonna go over and remeasure out, and I'll let you guys come along with me to make our next step. Test our candles, and I'll let you know any more information on that. Sorry if it's a little rambly, but again, it's another vlog. It's the weekend. I hope you guys are doing well. Arizona's having a bad storm. Like yesterday, it was terrible, a terrible rainstorm that we're not used to, and it's still really gloomy and raining on and off. It's gonna storm again tonight. The lighting is kind of weird. I apologize for that, but let's go check out the wax room. All right, welcome back to our wax studio. I am here. I've already prepped our vessels. I've cleaned them out. I've already wicked and stabilized. So the last thing we're gonna do now is I'll talk a little bit about what we're gonna make. And yeah, we'll kind of just go through the steps just like last time. This is the type of jar we're going to be using. This is a 7-ounce. Really, they label it as a 9-ounce, but 7-ounce of wax. Glass amber jar. This is going to be one of the offerings that we're going to be offering for Cellar and Ash. And so we just decided skip the small vessel. Let's start testing in the vessel, one of the vessels that we're going to be offering. And then once we hone down on the wax that we're going to be offering, that's when I'll start testing. We have a 12-ounce vessel that's going to be double wick, and I do have some 4-ounce jars too. And we're looking to possibly do like 2-ounce discovery sets of the fragrances we're going to be offering for Cellar and Ash. So we can't wait to get past this point. So we are using, for the majority of these, we are using Cassis and Jasmine from Hive and Honey as our fragrance oil. Now each wax blend or wax offering is a little bit different. We're not doing like a standard percentage fragrance oil across the board. I think there's some that I'm going to do 9 and some that I'm going to do 10, but that's like the only variable. But it's just because I'm looking at what kind of averaging out what the wax can offer. So like the 415, the 454, they say the minimum 8%, 10% being the max. Some fragrances are super strong. You can actually go down, like especially if they're heavy in cinnamon or heavy in vanillin, you can actually go down to like 7%. And that actually will give you a better candle performance, because the thicker the viscosity of the oil, the more that your wick will get clogged up and could have poor performance issues. So not every fragrance oil that you buy, even if it says that it's candle safe, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be work with whatever your environment is in the wax that you choose. So that's what we're doing. And now I have my little baby 2 Auto here. If you guys watched the first vlog, you'll see that we use this guy to melt down all of the wax. I have a ton of 2 Auto melters. It's the only melter that I go to. I'm still missing the 66 liter. I think, is that what that was? No, it's 66 pounds. It's huge. It's like their biggest one. They just came out with it. I haven't gotten that one yet. Probably one day, I think if I started mass producing candles, we would add that to our warmers. But hey, Bill, what's that? We gotta show them, because last time you brought me a planner. This is so, okay, but this is for real. Come over here, come get in the video. Okay, but this is really funny though, because the last time we did a vlog, you gave me the planner that was Till. Say hi, Bill, don't be nervous. So he just came back from the store and he brought me chocolate, and it's teal. You guys, that's my favorite color. I don't know if you can tell or not with everything, but he just got back from the store. Which store did you go to? Oh, okay. Don't be scared to talk, because now I've gotten through the intro. Yay. So isn't that so sweet? Bill, oh, sorry, I hit the mic. Bill got me some chocolates from Costco, guys. What is it? The Kirkland Belgian luxury chocolates, 46 pieces. I love chocolate and I love teal and gold. That just seems like luxury to me. I love that. I love that color of teal. Yay. So we'll set this off here. He's so sweet. Always gifting me stuff. All right. So we're going back to the candle making. I just noticed that this had a little bit of dust in it, so I'm just cleaning it off. Anyway, this thing's really durable. It's pretty tiny. It holds up to 3 pounds. I am obsessed with it. So I use this little stand here, and it has the plug, and you plug it in. It's got 2 settings. It can get above 220 if you keep the lid on. So it just depends on the type of wax you have. Since I've worked with all these, I kind of understand where I can take take the wax to and where I need to mix to. The last wax that I'm probably going to be making is the 415, just because I have to wait so long for the temperature to come down. Now, for me, it'll be a long time. For you guys, I'll make sure that I edit and cut out some of the in between that takes a long time. Okay, so we've got our little towels here. We've got our alcohol to clean in between. We got our little pitcher here. This is the one I use to weigh out the flakes of the wax. The slabs that I cut, I just use this little dental dam that I have, and I put that on my scale to protect my scale to weigh out, and then we just put it right directly into here. This melts down, and then you can pour it directly into your pitcher. It's super easy when you want to use just a small amount of wax when you're testing. So we'll go ahead and use a little bit of alcohol. So this is, like I said, the little guy that will measure like the flaked wax, so I can pour it into this thing, and then we'll use our other pitcher. This is going to be the one that we pour our oil into. All right, so we're using the cassis and jasmine for the majority of these candles. There's a blend that I'm going to try, which we talked about earlier in the intro. That one I'm going to do a blend of Black Tie Barnes, the Obsidian Sugar, with Midwest Fragrance Company's Scarlet Noir. I want to try. These are more for me to do, and then I'm making myself a candle with an oil that I got a sample of from Candle Science, which is Harvest Moon. It's incredible, and I really want that, something to burn right now in the room and test, so my own little personal candle. All right, so let's start off with, love you. Let's start off with soy 10. Let's do that one. So we have to do some maths here. I've got the calculator over here. So each candle can hold 7 ounces, so that's gonna be 14 ounces total, and then we wanna make sure that we minus out for the fragrance oil. So 14 total is what we're looking for. So let's look at, I'm doing a 10% fragrance load. So if you split that in 2, it's going to be 7 and 7. So 0.7 each. Yeah, that's right. So 14 times 10% is 1.4. Okay, so 0.7 of fragrance oil would go into each candle. So we're going to do a total of 1.4. So we're using 14 ounces completely. And so we're going to do 14 divided by 1.10 equals 12.7. So we're going to use 12.7 ounces of wax. And then we're going to take 14 minus 12.7, and that gives us 1.3. So what we're going to do is round up and do 12.7, and then we're going to round up to 1.4, because doing 1.3 is too tough. So what we're going to do is 12.7, and then we'll do 1.4 of oil. Okay. It's a little bit over 10, but soy 10 can hold up to 12%. So we're going to test it a little over 10. All right. So we can go ahead and put that oil in here. So we have our little thermometer here. We got our spoon to stir. It's always good to wear gloves so you don't get this stuff on your hands. Some people don't. They're pros, but I wear gloves because I don't like the feeling of the wax. Also, I don't like to get oil directly on my skin. I'm very sensitive. Okay. So 1.4 of oil I put here, and then I need 12.7 soy 10. So we've got soy 10 here from Hive and Honey. That's where I got this one. It is offered at a It is offered at a couple of different places. The one thing I did notice is this soy 10 came with a little bit of debris. So I try to get that off. The other thing you can do when you have it like in a big wax melter is just use a strainer, so I always inspect the wax before I put it in the melter. So this is the soy 10. Comes in a slab. It cuts like butter. Okay, perfect. So I've got my wax. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here, and we'll start melting it down. Now, again, if you are new here, this is soy 10. Soy 10 is like, they don't give the exact percentage, but it is mostly soy, and a minuscule amount is what they state of refined food grade paraffin, and that is for stability and to improve hot throw. Soy 10 can get pretty hot. Recommendations from Hive and Honey is a little bit light, the recommendations from Hive and Honey is slightly under the recommendations of California Candle Co, which I've gotten from there before. So I think Hive and Honey says heat up to about 190 and then add your fragrance oil, stir for like 15 seconds and pour, or 30 seconds and pour. I think Candle Company says you could take this up to 200 and past 200, 210, but not to go above 210, but you could take it up to 200, add your oils, and then pour at 190. She's heating up. I see a little bit of, yeah, I love this little 2 auto melter. It has quickly become like a favorite. I don't put fragrance oil in this 2 auto melter. It is a non-stick, so you don't want to use silicone for the most part. You don't want to use a lot of metal in here, or you can scratch the surface, but it's more of a non-stick where the big warmers are like a stainless steel. And you can put fragrance oil in here. I just don't, because I don't want to worry about the fragrance oil getting into the surface here and then like having to clean that in between. I just like to give it a nice wipe out from the last wax that was used. It's melting real good. One of these times I should go through my oil collection because I have a lot of oils. As you can see, this is full, and then I have this little table here, like opens up. It's like a coffin locker, and it's like you open the top up and it's full of like sample oils. I gotta find some better organization, but it's my favorite thing to do, play with oils. One thing I like about this little 2-auto, I'm not telling you guys to do this, but it doesn't get super hot on the outside of it. Just be careful. It'll get super hot from the bottom, but like the sides tend to be okay. I'm excited to try these. I don't know if I told you guys what I'm doing. So I'm doing 2 different wick sizes. I'm gonna do, the first one is the soy 10, so I have to remember that. So maybe I'll switch these around so I don't get messed up, because I've done that before and I've poured. So we're doing soy 10 first, and I'm using CD7 and CD8. That was the recommendations by the Hive and Honey for the soy 10. And it said they have like a wick recommender, not just for the soy 10. I guess it was, they did it for diameter of the vessel, and they recommended CD7 and 8. Yeah, so CD7, CD8, the CDN 7, 8, and 9. Well, I tried with CDNs and I get some smoke wafting from the wick on those. So again, when I did the 415 and the 454, I didn't see any smoke come off the CD wicks that I used on the last tester. So we are gonna go with it. I really like the way soy 10 looks. It has a really great smooth. It's like a single pour soy. Had great glass adhesion. One of the things I did on the last video is I tested the Coco Lux. I think it was the C55 coconut wax, and it was awesome. It did great for a single oil. I just don't know if it can hold the TheCandleNurse. One thing I did notice that there was a little bit of residual smudginess in the clam when you pulled it out. So that's the only thing, where the blend that I use now, it generally comes out clean. But it gave us a great throw following those guidelines. We're at 199.5. We're at 200. Gotta be careful trying to get this thing unplugged. So you don't have to stir this very much. That's like the beauty part. You don't have to wait, so you can pour it right away. So here we go. We're gonna pour. Got the pitcher that's drippy. Maxed out. We've got some leftovers. So we got soy 10 done. So I spray this out. It's gonna be the same oil. So really, I don't need to do alcohol, but the only reason why I'm doing that is so that I can just make sure I got the wax out of here. But maybe, and I will hold off on the alcohol and just wipe out the remnants of wax. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna go and do is, I think, the 454. So we are doing 9%. So let's think about this first. So it's a little bit less. So 14 divided by gives me 12.8. So we're gonna do 1.2. So we'll do 1.2 of fragrance oil. So we can do that real quick. Here that 1.2. We're doing the same oil. We're doing CD10 and CD12, 9%. Fragrance oil. So then we're going to put our little picture there. Tear. Perfect. 12.4. Oh no, 12.4. I need 12.8. So we just need like a tiny, tiny bit. 12.8. Yay. So this is what it looks like. It's in flake. 454. Soy. Coconut. That's ready to go. We'll get this heating up. So this one follows the same instructions as like the 415, as far as like you want to get it up to like 190. You want to pour your fragrance oil around 185, and then you want to stir for 2 minutes. So that one's particular, like the more you stir the better, and then you can pour around like 170. It's kind of fun to watch it melt. Now we could put the lid on and it would melt it like a lot faster, but I think I had issues with it getting too hot last time, like going up to like 215, 220. I really don't want to do that with some of these waxes that say, you know, heat to 190, 195. Like I was thinking about doing like half candles testing, but I think that is something that I'm going to, some people say do it now because it'll save you on materials and cost, but where I'm trying to see which wax I really want to use, I decided to go full candle. And I think that once I decide which wax we're going to go with full time, then I will consider doing just half candles when we're testing fragrance oils. And what that is half candles are where like your candle burns the hottest at the midway point down. So like when you first light your candle, it takes a while for it to get a full melt pool, and you really want to try to get a full melt pool. But if you have some coconut in your wax blend, it's going to take it, you might have some residual on the sides. It's not really considered tunneling, it's more residual on the sides that should catch up as you get to the midway point, because your candle is the hottest at its midway point, halfway down the glass. So you want to make sure you're doing full testing all the way down. But generally it takes it's cooler in the beginning, and you're going to get the best hot throw with the second, third burn, and then onward throughout the end of the life of the candle. So when trying to figure out whether or not an oil works for a candle, we could do half pours. Another way that we can test this, which we could have done with each one of these, is called wickless testing. And that probably would have been best, where you just pour a candle without a wick, and then what you do is you can drill down with like literally this thermometer is like a perfect size, but you could use this to just kind of drill a hole down to the bottom, and then you just stick a wick in there without a wick tab, and then heat gun it so that the wax adheres to it, let it cure all the way, and then you can start burning it. Obviously you don't want to do a full power burn with that because you don't have a wick tab holding that wick into place. So you only want to do that in the beginning to about halfway down the candle, and then at some point about halfway is when you should be done using a wickless candle. Another way that you could do it is you can use an apple core. You know, you have the wick tab, the candle it's adhered to the bottom of the glass, and then say that you're having issues with tunneling and no, it's not going to work. You could do like an apple core, and then you have to pop that wick out and then stick a new wick in, and then put that excess wax from the apple core back in to fill the hole, and then heat gun. So I would consider probably the alternative, which is if I'm going to do a full candle, do wickless candle, and then I can like switch wicks in and out that way. You just have to pay attention to your candle. Now you can't consider that like a total success, because you do need to, like, say you found the wick that will work with that, you do need to pour a full candle and then do like a full burn from top to bottom to get a good. We're almost there. We're at 179.6. I love this little 2 auto. It's good to stir around because the temperature gets stagnant. Again, like I said, the heat's not like all the way up here. It could be if I left it on for too long. The heat is at the bottom here. So I'm gonna take this to 190, 192, and then I'll unplug it, because by the time I unplug it and pour, it loses some heat. Okay, we are there. So this one we want to make sure that we do stir for the 2 minutes per the manufacturer's recommendation. Usually when I make really big batches, usually when I make big batches, I use silicone spatulas that are wide to ensure that we are incorporating the fragrance oil kind of more evenly into the wax. It's really cool to see it. Like you can see when the wax and the fragrance oil bind together. I'm gonna call that 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Pour this bad boy in. That's why I like the 454 versus the 415, is you can pour it pretty quick. All right, no excess on this one. That was perfect. It's very interesting, you know, how one will have more than the other. And I have some pipettes here that I can pipette just a little bit from one to put in the other, just to get it to that fill line. All right, very interesting. Very interesting. That one filled perfect, where my first calculation for soy 10, I had like an excess left over. I'm wondering if it's because I did go up to the 0.4, but what would the difference be between 0.3 and 0.4? That would give me like almost an ounce and a half extra. I wonder if my math isn't mathing or if my scale's a little bit off. I don't know. So next up, we are going to be getting ready to pour the 51104. I am going to go ahead and get that all ready, and I will start recording again. I will see you guys when we are ready to pour and show you guys what's going on there. All right, so We've got 51104 melting down right now. 51104 is I got from Hive and Honey. It is a hybrid wax. Hybrid soy is what they call it. It's got soy, coconut, palm wax, and paraffin in it. So it's got all four in it. And when I tested the 4-ounce jelly jars from Candle Science, I really was going to exclude it from being a wax that I offer, but I have a lot of it, you guys. I can't remember, I accidentally bought 2 sample sizes. I think you get 11 pounds in, what is it? Is it 5-pound slabs? I think you get 11 pounds, and that's equal to be about like 5.5 pounds per slab. I ordered it twice on accident because I didn't realize that I bought it on its own when I bought it with the Cocoa 83 because I was going to do it as a blend. So totally forgot. So I am not even like halfway down on 1 slab, and I still have 3 slabs left. So I figured it won't hurt to just test again. It had a lighter cold throw. I didn't get a chance to get a hot throw just because I think they were overwicked. It needs a smaller wick size because it is a softer one, but I really liked the idea of 51104 because it had a higher melting point of like 126 or 127, which is great for Arizona. So that means that the candles won't melt if I shipped in the summer. Even though it's soft enough and it's in a slab form and it's like kind of soft like butter, I could cut through this very easily. It left a little bit of schmutz on the blade, but that's fine. So this one, 51104 hybrid blend, I'm just gonna follow the same instructions, take it up to about 190, 195, and by the time I get it off of here, it'll be good enough to go in here. I'll stir it for the, Hive and Honey says like 1 minute, but I'll stir it for 1.5 to 2 minutes and then I'll pour it. Just getting these out of the way because I figure I should just pour these. We're using CD7, CD8, so I went down wicks on these. What I had before I think I had the same size in the 4-ounce jelly jars, but the diameter was way smaller. So I stuck with what I used in the jelly jars for this one, but they should work better. It should work okay in these slightly larger diameter, larger jars. We are there. Sorry, guys. I'm at 195, just waiting for that last little piece to melt down. Now I have like a pancake dispenser that I use for pouring wax. And I do think that once we get going and we're scaling larger size orders and like making a lot of candles, that I will put the wick placement or wick stabilizers on as after I pour. And all I'm doing now is just wiping out excess oil in wax as it's hot. This is just part of the game. You have to make sure that you're throwing away the stuff properly. So paper towels will be your friend. The stuff you do not want to put it on like a reusable towel. You want to make sure you get all the wax out of here before you go and put it on a rag or use like a fiber cloth and then wash that because it will mess up your pipes. So nice and clean. We're using the same fragrance oil, so I'm not going to spray it. Because this was my secondary wipeout, I'll reuse this. And that is our 51104. So up next is going to be our NS55, and I'll do probably the same thing where I'll kind of turn it to the side so I can pour it. But yeah, we're gonna do NS55. We are doing 10% on NS55 this go around. That looks pretty straight. Okay, we move that wick off center. Like to make sure while it's still wet that we get our wicks to where we want them. But this part can get you like crazy because you'll sit and just be like, oh, it's off center, it's off center. And it's like, these are hand poured candles. I do think that once we figure out what we're gonna do, I'm gonna invest in the Norden wick placement piece of equipment, and it like actually like is made to the specific jar. They figure out who the manufacturer was you got it from and then what jar you got specifically, and they make you like this thing that sits around the lid and fits, and then it's like centered and you can like re-wick really fast. So it's kind of pricey, but I'm gonna invest in it just because it will help with my neurotic mind trying to figure out what the heck, my neurotic mind trying to figure out the centering of the wick, and that it's always gonna look a little off center to me. I'm like, I buy Bath and Body Works candles, like their wicks are always horrendous. So the NS55 is what we're going for next. From Natural State 1.4, we're gonna do 10%. We went down on wicks on this one. We're going CD7, CD8. Before I use CDNs, they smoked. So I'm going to do 12.6 of wax this time just because since I rounded up on oil, I'm going to come down with wax because I had some left over before. So I really love this wax. It's in a slab. It was delivered in the heat of the summer. It was totally fine. Like it's soft enough for me to cut out of the slab, but it's like not melting in my hands. I like the way it comes in these manageable slabs. I mean, I think if I bought like a big case from them, maybe they'd be bigger slabs, but they make these really manageable. I love the customer service I get from Natural State. Natural State has a candle company called Raven, I think, candle company. Veteran-owned small business. The oils are really premium from Natural State. The oils are very premium. Like I went crazy and bought the entire collection. They had a deal to get like all the oils available, and I did that. And he didn't just give me, it said like 39 oils were what was going to come in, and he gave me like 45 because I guess from when they originally had it going, they had some new oils come in and he hooked it up, and it was worth the investment to get all of them. I wanted to review them all, but they're super premium oils, meaning that they are strong. So I was going to break them up and do like a series, and then I decided I really wanted to use some of the oils for the pre-order for my blends. Reading a little bit under. Let's get a little piece here. Really easy to work with, very easy to cut and put back. This is another one that can go pretty hot and then get poured at really hot temperatures. He states that this wax is cured after 24 hours. You could technically burn it, but you got to do your testing. I think for sure the wax is ready to go, but I don't know that the oils have reached the cure time that they need. So I would do like, for any of these, I would probably test in like 3 days if I want to test burn. If I want to test fragrance oil, which I put fragrance oil in here, if I want to test the fragrance oil, like how it's going to perform, then you really need to wait the 2 weeks for the soy and the coconut soy. For this, probably 3 days I could start testing. I'm going to make sure I do record results and like how it's going so that we can add it in our next vlog. I can't wait to do like fragrance oil reviews. That like makes me really excited. And it melts fast, you guys. It's melting super fast. Like, I don't even think I can show, like it's already melted like super fast. I love that. Sorry I kind of took it out of the way, but I just wanted to show you guys when I was pouring, like show you guys that. Maya, are you asleep? Maya, and it's 55. Okay, now we move on to the 415. So I will do 415 over here. So 415, I think, is going to be, it's 100% soy, a little bit more difficult to work with, but had a great performance and cold throw, hot throw. So I believe this one's going to be 9%. We're using CD10, CD12 for the wicks on this one. So this will be 1.2 ounces of fragrance oil. I think that is the last one that we're doing for this fragrance. All right, so that's ready to go. Now we need to get the flakes. 415 comes in a flake form. So what we'll do is we tear out this empty on there. Okay, almost there, a little bit more. All right, there we go. So this is what it looks like. So similar to 454. And we wait. All right, so I did go ahead and pour this 415. It had reached its target temperature, and then we began to stir. This is the one that's gonna take a while. After this one, I want to pour myself a 415 candle with Harvest Moon fragrance oil, and then we will move on to the blends that we want to do, which is the 415 and soy 10 and 454 and soy 10. I already figured those numbers out. I've already got the wax separated for my single candle that I wanted to make just for fun for me because I love the fragrance oil. So I have a feeling we're going to be waiting for a while with this one. Yeah, this one's pretty hot. After I'm done doing the stirring here, I'm going to take a little water break. I'll be able to step away, and I will get right back with you when we're ready to pour my candle of Harvest Moon. All right, so we are back and I am still waiting for the 415 to cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and continue on to create the rest of these candles, and then I will circle back with you all at the end when we're completely done, because this I think is going to take the longest time because I have to follow manufacturer's instructions for my sanity. And last time I made it to I think 115 or 105 to pour 415, and it looked pretty cruddy, which I didn't mind it because it looks like a soy candle, and it had really bad glass adhesion. So I was trying to figure out, like, maybe this is why people who pour 415 double pour, maybe, is that if you pour at a higher temperature, you'll have a better glass adhesion or less wet spots, and then you can do a second pour when it, like, to top it off when it completely cools down. I think this go around, I'm going to push it to the manufacturer's instructions of 95 degrees Fahrenheit and then pour into the glass. We'll see what happens. 415 is 100% soy, so you got your natural wax there, and it is the most cost-efficient wax out there as well. It's just you have to have a lot of patience and be able to multitask, I guess, which can be tough when you have ADHD. So I will get back with you guys at the end, and I'll show you what the candles are starting to look like once I'm done pouring the rest of these. And then I will take some footage probably in 24 hours as well, just so you guys can see what they look like with the wicks trimmed, and we can check out the glass and look at if there's any wet spots and stuff, which, just like a disclaimer, wet spots are totally normal. It happens with all candles, and some wax does better than others, but it also depends on the temperature. So wax will shrink in cold temperature, so it'll be okay. Yeah, they're looking great. This 454 looks spectacular. I've had great results on the initial pour with smooth tops, but the 415 gave me a better scent throw, which was interesting. And it also is going to depend on our oils, right? So anyway, I'll touch base with you guys at the end and show you what it's looking like. All right, so we are still waiting for the 415. It is still at 116 degrees. That is the Cassis and Jasmine. It's still at 116 degrees. This one is the Harvest Moon. So I'm going to take this one and we are going to check the temperature. 122. So we're still waiting for 415. We are still waiting for 415. So I wanted to show you a couple of the first candles we poured. This is the Soy 10 here, and really nice smooth top so far. Let's see if we can get it to focus there. Sorry guys, the weather just got really weird. It started thunderstorming and raining. So this is the other Soy 10, so it looks great. This is the 454, and I've noticed that sometimes this has been happening. I don't know why it's looking like that. Let's focus. There we go. This is the 454, and sometimes this has been happening where it starts to develop a sinkhole near the wick as it cures, and I found out that we can just poke some holes with a thermometer. That's what I'm gonna end up doing, and using a heat gun to smooth the tops, and that will take care of that. So that's where we're at, you guys. This is the 51104 so far. Yeah. It's quite rainy. Let's go check it out. I'm a little bit worried because Billy and the boys are out. The bikes fell over. This is our little courtyard. The water is gathering there, but we do have some drains. There's one there and one on the other side there. This is some old furniture, sorry. It's bad, it needs to go out. The Arizona heat really tears up outdoor stuff, even though it's so beautiful here. We have our little patio lights. Let's turn those on. Yay, little fairy lights. Yeah, Bill's out at the store right now with the kids. It's only 5 p.m., so it's looking pretty dark. We'll see how long this thunderstorm lasts, but hey guys. So yeah, it's storming right now. I have a snack right there. I'm waiting for this 415, and geez Louise, I don't know how people do it. I think you'd have to walk away and like go do like another errand or something and come back. That's the one thing I remember feeling like this was a little too, like it's a little too much time to wait. I'm impatient, but again, I like the way that it burns. So I guess like that's the thing with candle making, you're gonna have to learn how to be patient. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys what was going on, and I'll touch base with you guys in a little bit. All right, so everything is poured now. So remember I was telling you that I was gonna poke some holes. So I poked some holes around the sinkhole, and I'm gonna let that cure all the way, and then I will use a heat gun. This is the Harvest Moon that I poured, and it's already starting to cure because I had it wait for a really long time. I made it to almost like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I still didn't get down to the 95 yet before I poured. Same with this 415, and then these were the last two that I went ahead and poured, that I did the blend with the Soy 10 415 and Soy 10 454. This is what the soy 10's looking like. Super smooth. And then this is the 51104. The wick got a little off center, so I pulled on it. Same thing with this one. So it is smooth though, but we are gonna wait for 24 hours before we start looking for the jar adhesion and wet spots. And again, once these 415s cure, I may try to smooth out a top or two, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know what it looks like tomorrow when it cures. Good morning, everybody. So this is the next morning after pouring. This is the NS55. I didn't have to do any smooth topping or heat gun to it. This is the way that it looks after I trimmed the wick, and it smells really good for less than 24 hours. So I will say that it's been probably a little over 12 hours, so it smells pretty good. I'm gonna let it sit and cure, but the both turned out pretty well, so that looks good. And then now we have the soy 10, same thing, really nice smooth tops. The jar adhesion looks wonderful. Let's see here, maybe a little bit of wet spotting, but you can't really see it too bad. Well, I guess you can, but I guess it's not as bad when it's in an amber jar. And nice smooth tops. So I like the way it came out. Only downfall to the soy 10, again, at this 13-hour mark, I'm starting, at first I smelled like the heavy soy scent that comes from it, and the scent was kind of like masked by that. But now at like 13 hours, I would say that I can smell the fragrance. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to let this cure. I'm going to let these both cure. We'll check it again probably at the 5-day mark. I will probably be checking it more frequently, but I will document probably at the 5-day mark what my thoughts are. It's already starting to smell a little bit stronger than it did yesterday, so that's promising. I had made like a couple wax melts afterwards with it. Smells the same, but I am smelling the fragrance oil through it now. Yesterday I was a little bit worried. So let's talk about the next ones. The next one I'm really happy with. This is the blend I did, the 454 with soy 10, CD12 wick at 10%. I did the Black Type Barn Obsidian Sugar and Scarlet Noir from Midwest. I'm really shocked at how strong the Scarlet Noir is. It is like overpowering the Obsidian Sugar, which is great because when I smelled it out of the bottle, it smelled fairly light. I've also tried this fragrance in a soy 10 from a vendor, and it was fairly light. So I just wonder if sometimes the fragrance gets taken away by the soy 10 with whatever the underlying like soy content or something that is binding with it causes it to do that. It's what the Cocoa 83 did, but the Cocoa 83 like swallowed the fragrance. Like I could not get a good scent from it. But this one, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's really strong. I would give this like 6-7 out of 10 on cold at like 12 hours. And this is, I didn't smooth the top or anything or have to poke any holes. Like it has like slight cracking, but I was going to touch this up. I want to see how it does if I heat gun it. I learned that the 454 did not do well with the reset after heat gunning, and I'll show you guys here in a second, which is really sad because I love 545 or 454 a lot. I like its hot and cold throw, but if I get some sinkhole and I try to correct it, it doesn't reset like this. So you guys can see how nice and smooth this is. This has the 10% soy 10. I'm really happy with the way that it's set on its own, but I am going to take the heat gun to it to just see how it resets, and I'll document. This next one is the 415 with the soy 10. Same thing. It gave me a sinkhole in the middle, but this is 415, you guys. I poured this at like 170, 415 and soy 10. So to get a smooth top like this is incredible. It did sink a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably poke some holes and try to heat gun and see if it'll fill and how that's going to reset. This is the one-off candle I did of Harvest Moon. This is the fragrance that I wanted, and I wanted to burn it in the 415. The 415 has a beautiful burn. You can burn it for, I mean, you shouldn't be burning more than 3 to 4 hours, really, any candle. And as soon as you hit your melt pool and it's about a 1/4 inch, you should let that run for a little bit and then turn it off. But this 415 is that 100% soy performance, which lets you burn this candle for a long time. The cold throw on this is a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 at the 12-hour mark. It's really shining through on the 415. This is the look. So you get extreme some wet spots with it, but that's okay because when I shake the jar, like the candle is not loose. Wet spots are normal. It happens. It's going to be dependent on the temperature in the room. It's going to be dependent on the type of wax. With natural waxes, they have a tendency to do more of the wet spotting. So I would have to work with this a little bit more, just to see. But this is what it looked like in its natural state. I waited to about 105 degrees Fahrenheit and poured. It looks like a soy candle. It's cratery, it's pocky. I don't mind it as like a candle consumer because I know that this doesn't hinder the way that the performance, but I am going to see how it reacts to the heat gun when I try to smooth the top. Like we'll see if it resets okay. This is the 415 Cassis and Jasmine. So this is part of our normal testing. So you saw how the Harvest Moon was, which we waited to the same temperature to pour. So it's a little bit more cratery. This one got, I think, a little bit lower temperature. I think this one got down to about 101 and it did thicken up just a little bit. So it probably would benefit to get down to that milky consistency, and the wet spots are giant in this one. But again, it's not like a loose candle. But I am going to heat up the jar and heat up the wax and try to smooth the top and see if that helps. But that's 415, and the Cassis and Jasmine smells amazing in it. I would say at the 12-hour mark, I'm getting a 6 out of 10. I think the Harvest Moon is a stronger fragrance oil. Also, I added 10% of Harvest Moon, and this Cassis and Jasmine is at 9%. So, but we will see, because with 100% soy, you definitely want to let them cure for the 2 weeks before you use. I guess that's for fragrance performance. There are people out there that say you just need it to harden, so about 72 hours. You can go up to 5 days and start testing. I might do that between the two because this time I don't want to burn them at the same time. I really want to focus on each one in its wick size and see how it's doing. I mean, if it's a complete failure, I can try to change out the wick and continue to test, but I will test one at a time, starting with the lowest wick size. And yeah, so that's, I'm gonna show you guys though, once I heat gun it and it resets, I'll show you what it looks like. And then this is the 51104, which I was pretty happy about. I did take the heat gun to it because I poured it kind of wonky. It's got a really nice, smooth, white, creamy consistency. You can see around the edges though, it cracks a little bit. It's got some wet spots, but a really nice, smooth texture. I heat gunned this originally because I poured it kind of funky. So I think it's got a really nice reset. Let's see. And it's lighter on probably lighter. I think Soy 10 is probably the lightest. This one is the next one. I would give this one on cold, like it's light, probably a 4 out of 10 at the 12-hour mark. So we're just going to let it cure. It's a hybrid wax, so it's got a lot going on. So, okay. This is the second 51104 that we poured. Smells the exact same. Now this one didn't crack as much around the edges, and see how it's kind of inconsistent. There's like 0 wet spots on this one. So this one doesn't look too bad. So it's a nice wax and it is very affordable. The only downfall is it's got more paraffin than anything out of these ones I'm testing. The NS55, maybe little wet spot. The NS55 has less than 5% food grade paraffin in it, is what it disclaimer is. So it's 95-96% coconut soy. The Soy 10 says it has a minuscule of food grade paraffin, and then the 415 is 0. The 415 has 100% soy. The 454, which we're going to show you next, is just soy and coconut, period. It's got majority of soy. They do not disclose how much is in it, but there's no other additives to it. It's just coconut oil and soy. So this is your 454. And normally with 454, you get a nice smooth reset or cure or like smooth top when you're done, like how it looks over here on the left. But it started sinking around the wick, so I poked some holes and I did a heat gun and it reset to this. So what I'm gonna do probably is do a lower setting again to see if I can smooth it out. What I am happy about is the sinkhole around the wick went away. So it's smoothed out, but now it did like the soy reset. So I don't know if 454 can be corrected as far as appearance goes, or if you as customers would be okay receiving a candle that looks like lumpy and bumpy. I know from Kringle I do, but we tried to attempt to smooth the tops, and if 454 can't be smooth, that's a problem, because that means you only have one attempt. There's no correcting. And if you start seeing a sinkhole around the wick, you can't correct it unless you're going to get like a reset like this. But I really like the cold throw on this at the 12-hour mark. Is like a 7.5 out of 10. So strong cold throw. I always love the cold throw on this. But yeah, so I'm going to try to correct some of these with the heat gun real quick. And then once it resets, I'll come back and film and show you what it looks like. So I did smooth out the 454, and it is smoothing out really nicely. The edges will have a little bit of the soy, like, I don't know if you could pick it up or not, the soy crystallization, but I didn't think that this was going to be able to be saved, and it's looking really nice. So I guess what needs to happen is I need to let these cure before I touch anything. I need to let these cure probably for the 12 to 24 hour mark, then go back in and heat gun on a low setting. I think I was on high yesterday, so that probably made it too hot, but I did the low setting today, and it's like a little, I would be okay with selling this. Like, it's way smoother than it was earlier, the 454. So happy with that. This is what the Harvest Moon 415 100% soy is looking like as it's curing. It's a bit smoother. You have a little bit of lumps and bumps. I'm wondering if this is why people double pour the 415. So one thing I noticed with the natural wax is that it seems like you're filling it higher, but it does recede down, and like I guess you could top it off with like a really cool down picture. So there's the Harvest Moon. This is the Cassis and Jasmine, which it's smoothing out a lot better. So I think it also depends on the fragrance oil that you're using, but like I'm pretty happy with the way that these are resetting after heat gunning. So I'm pretty happy. The 454 and the Soy 10 reset beautifully, like really, really well. So love that. And then this is the 415 with the Soy 10. I'm not certain what the discoloration is there, if that's coming from the wick or that's just the soy still kind of wet. So we're going to leave this alone. There's a little bit of crystallizing here on the edge, which means it'll probably frost, but that's okay. I mean, look how smooth that is, just adding a little bit of Soy 10 to that blend, but the 454 didn't discolor at all. So we'll let this one harden up and I'll see if that discoloration still stands or if that goes away. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the heat gunning, especially of this 415. Like, you can get it kind of smoothed out and decent. So looking good.